Or another very effective Pathie that has been used is something like this. Mrs. Smith, have you ever looked out over a frozen pond early in the fall of the year and noticed how solid the ice looks? And yet you know that in all likelihood, if a 200-pound man, for example, were to walk out on that ice, that it would give way and break under the added strain of his weight. Well, you know that in your present condition, you are still on too thin ice for your weighty problem. I know everything seems all right, but believe me, the slightest additional load or strain could be too much. We'd better continue your adjustments until we are sure that the danger of a recurrence is over. Or perhaps you might combat this problem in this way. Mr. Executive, you're almost well, and this makes me very happy too. You certainly can stop taking adjustments if you wish, but doing so would be like firing your secretary because all the mail has been answered. We need to concern ourselves with a maintenance program to keep you well. Or you might say, did you ever notice how, when you varnish a floor, it looks dry after a few hours? But if someone walks across it before it is completely dry, it's a lot of trouble to revarnish to get rid of those footprints, isn't it, Mrs. Brown? It's the same way with your spine. Everything seems all right, but I feel that it would be wiser to keep on with your adjustments until we're sure it's properly set, rather than risk suffering the consequences of quitting too soon. Then an occasional adjustment will keep it that way, just as an occasional waxing keeps a floor in good shape. That's what we want, isn't it, Mr. Jones? From time to time, it may be necessary to remind an uncooperative patient of the vital importance to his program of complete cooperation with his doctor. An example of an analogy which can be very successful in cases like this might be, as a husband, there is a certain amount of cooperation necessary as a team with a wife, just as there is between a doctor and his patient. And we need that cooperation of regular and prompt treatments if we are going to work as an effective team together. Another question which comes up is, why don't doctors recognize chiropractic? A Pathie for that question is, why don't the Democrats and the Republicans get together? They are both for the people and by the people and of the people. Why don't all the automobile manufacturers get together and make the one product? Do the Protestants recognize the Catholics? If so, why don't they get together? And even, why don't communists recognize God? Occasionally, when trying to convince a patient of the need for chiropractic and the benefits which can be expected, a patient may make the comment, "My neighbor, Mrs. Jones, didn't get help by a chiropractor." A good way of handling this would be, the fact that your friend was not helped by chiropractic care doesn't mean that chiropractic is no good. A friend of mine bought a new Buick and had all kinds of trouble with it. But that doesn't mean, of course, that all Buicks are no good. You have heard of people who died on the operating table. But that doesn't mean that surgery and surgeons are no good. Penicillin saves many lives, but it also killed 780 people last year in America through reactions. This doesn't say no one should take penicillin. Another patient might comment to you on the fact that there seems to be a vast difference in the methods used by different chiropractors. This can be answered sometimes as follows. Different chiropractic methods are like different makes of cars. Although different, they all perform the same basic function of taking you where you want to go, and you drive the one that suits you best. Different chiropractic methods are all based on the same basic principle of adjusting spinal vertebra to remove nerve interference, thereby restoring normal function and natural health. Some of us do it one way and some another. in helping your patient to understand the significance of pain and the need to locate and correct the underlying cause of pain, the following pathies may be of help. You regularly take better care of your house or car, or you might say boat, fishing tackle, fingernails, antique furniture, and other things than you do of your body. There is only one way your body can let you know that this isn't fair, and that is for the nervous system to complain. And it does that by giving you pain. If the motor in the car knocked a bit, you can either close your ears or stop and get it repaired. If your body knocks, you can either get mad and kill the pain with aspirin or correct the cause. I am sure that you have heard the following comment from a new patient who has never had chiropractic treatment before, such as, "Is that all you're going to do today, doctor?" Well, in answer to that, the following might be useful. "Yes, that's all I do. But the adjustment I have given you turned on the vital nerve energy to your entire body, just the same as an engineer turns on the power to an entire city by merely closing the master switch." Or you might say, "Yes, that's all I do. It's like the surgeon who sets a broken leg and lets nature do the healing, or sutures the incision and lets the body do all the healing." Have you ever stopped to think that all we do is chew and swallow our food, then digestion and assimilation work automatically to convert the food to growth and energy, when all we do is to chew? And the most wonderful miracle of all takes place after conception. Without any surgeon or physician to guide them, those two little cells keep on multiplying by the millions, each by its own intelligence forming its own particular organ. Not only that, but the innate, inborn intelligence within puts everything in its proper place and to doing its proper job. It is indeed very rare that the kidneys get mixed up with the lungs, and I have yet to see an ear growing where the nose should be. And finally, to ensure permanent benefit from your service and to impress upon the minds of your patients the truth of the adage that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, any of the following have been used many times with great success. If you broke your leg and it healed as good as new, would it ever break again? If you had a cold or pneumonia or fever or TB, and so forth, and become well, can it ever come back? Well, yes, your condition can come back if you do the same thing as you did this time, and if you keep going at the pace you are now going. If you find water on the floor, don't you look to see where the water is coming from, or do you close the door and try and forget about it? If you keep blowing out fuses, do you plug them with silver paper and increase your fire insurance? You know they passed laws saying you can only load electric wires so much. And if you use too high fuse, thereby causing a fire, the insurance companies won't and don't have to pay. There also ought to be a law governing the overloading of our nerve lines. I'll bet you don't let the kids swing on the clothesline. None of these things you do you? If they do occur, you change things as soon as possible, don't you? But we continually increase the stress and strain sometimes on our nervous system and bodies, and when they break down, we are greatly surprised and annoyed and want them repaired immediately, if not sooner, never to break down again. We want this without any maintenance care and without changing our habits. Well, it just can't be done. We have to maintain our health from the cradle to the grave, just like we maintain all of our fixed assets and all of the things that we live with daily. You know, if the wheels get out of alignment on your car, the tires will wear out and it will place strain on various parts of the car, won't it? Did you ever stop to think that your body follows these same laws of nature, and your spine must be kept in alignment for your body to function properly? Why, of course. You wouldn't dream of driving your car 10,000 miles, for example, without checking the oil. But you know you've gone years and years without checking your spine. And which is more important to you, your car or your health? Sometimes a patient might question your office call rate or the number of adjustments or treatments he gets during a certain period of corrective care, such as 90 days. Now, here is an idea and some good convincing phrases to support your fees and frequency of office visits. You might want to say something like this, in somewhat of a teasing manner, perhaps. Mr. Brown, I want you to come 90 days for a trial period. This is what your examination and x-rays show you need. Now, during these 90 days, I want you to come 150 times. To begin with, I want you to come twice daily. And then after a few weeks, I'll have you come only once a day. And then every other day to finish the 150 treatments. These 150 visits will cost only $1 each, or a total of $150. And then you might wait for the patient's exclamations. And then you might say, after somewhat of a laugh, and say, well, how about coming only half that many times, or 75 times, and every day the office is open for 3 months, you will get an adjustment. And you then will pay just $2 an office call, which will make $150. Then you wait a bit, and he no doubt will begin to get the idea. And then you can say, somewhat teasingly again, perhaps, well then, how about coming only 25 times during this entire 3 months and pay $6 an office call and get well? Okay? You can, of course, pursue this a little further if the patient and situation warrants it by saying, or would you like to come only 6 times at $25 an office call, or even just one time for $150? How about that? You see, you said it would sure be worth $150 to get rid of this condition. So if I can do it in 1 or 6 visits and prevent you all the other expense of driving to the office or transferring on the bus and all the effort and work and time consumed of coming to the office, then that is what you want, isn't it? Well, then, let's lay down a pattern of frequency of visits and cost based upon moderation. We will want you to come the 25 times, and the $6 office call will apply. Okay? So, brown baggers, here are 50 or 60 or more Pathies. As you listen to these records time and time again, you will find that the Pathies listed here will actually become a part of you and your mind and will begin to create and develop more and more to fit more and more all the questions and problems that arise in your everyday practice. That's what they're designed to do, as well as being designed to help you to develop out your own Pathies. This is one of the most terrific, outstanding psychological sales principles, ways of explaining your products, services, and ideas. Study them, use them, and benefit from them, for in constant use, by virtue of constantly listening to these records and Pathie, lies the true secret of increasing your proficiency quotient by developing out your performance quotient.